what's up, witches? I'm back to talk about the Disney Loki TV show, so let's get into it. Now, I was originally debating whether or not I wanted to do a video about season 2 of the Loki show because I feel like I pretty much said all that I wanted to say about Loki and versus Marvel Loki from a Norse Pagan perspective and also a Lokean perspective as someone that does work with him. But after watching season 2 as a whole, there were a few fun little nods and Easter eggs to both like mythological and god Loki and just kind of like Norse mythology and some interesting Lokean concepts as a whole that I did want to just talk about and point out briefly. So yeah, let's do that. The first thing that I want to point out and talk about is the new character that was introduced for season 2, played by the amazing Kihei Kwan, which is Ouroboros. And as we know, Ouroboros is a nod to the symbol of the snake eating its own tail, which I actually have kind of depicted in this necklace here. I don't know if you can see. I personally chose to wear this rather than, like a Mjolnir or other things like that, just because, like I said, I'm a Lokean and I don't work with Thor that often or particularly closely, so I know that the Mjolnir is just kind of a symbol of Norse paganism or heathenry, Asatru in general, but for me it just didn't seem like a more overt symbol of my personal practice, if that makes sense. I've always been drawn to the symbol of the Ouroboros as just a concept and a symbol of the cyclical nature of all things, and it can be a symbol of death and rebirth, as in reincarnation. And then as someone who does work with Loki and worship Loki, I see it as also a tie to him through his son, the Midgard serpent Jormungandr, who is a snake eating its own tail. So I just thought that that was interesting to have that little nod, just not only to the whole overall arching theme of the Loki TV show of, time is a flat circle, entropy is natural, everything has to die and be reborn eventually. That's that cycle of creation and destruction, which Loki definitely helps to bring about as the one in Norse mythology who helps to bring about Ragnarok. That was just an interesting little thing to see in and of itself, because I do personally believe that much like time is cyclical, Ragnarok therefore is also symbolically, metaphorically, perhaps actually, depending on how you view our current timeline, cyclical. And Loki, not only mythologically, but also very much within this TV show, is just a symbol and agent of not only chaos, but entropy itself, and just represents the fact that it is inevitable. I also thought it was interesting that for the TVA, a lot of the symbol that we saw, particularly in this season, was the use of the hourglass symbol, which, also obviously represents time, but if you flip it on its side, is also the rune Dagas, which means day or renewal. So I think that's also very much tying into the theme of the show of creation and destruction of, the universe or the multiverse. And then, of course, here I'm going to get into some spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen all the TV show, then perhaps leave now. At the very end of the show, when we see this really cool scene of Loki's basically ascension to the embodiment of his godhood, where, not only is he ascending up the staircase and, donning his helm with the big bendy horns, and this time it's like made of this basalt rock, so this is like primal god Loki that we're seeing here. We also see this version of Loki, this Marvel Loki, finally getting the thing that he's longed for and been trying to get his hands on for so long, which is a throne. He started off in the Thor movie really wanting to get his hands on the throne of Asgard and having a lot of resentment over being passed over for Thor, and being an adopted Jotun, which I think I got into a little bit in my original Marvel Loki show. I think there is a little bit of tinge of that bitterness as a side of God Loki as well, for not getting to enjoy in a lot of the things and accolades that a lot of the other gods in Aesir do. But here we almost kind of see Loki being, in my opinion, the epitome of what God Loki is known for, which is be careful what you wish for, because this Loki has gotten what he always wanted, which is his own throne, but he's also, in a sense, trapped and imprisoned by it, which, now that I think about it, does also echo mythological Loki being bound in chains. And there it was definitely a form of punishment. And here it's, in some ways seen as his reward, or him finally getting what he wanted, but now he's literally just gets to sit there on his throne and exist and can't really do anything with that power. And I think this also echoes the binding of Loki in mythology. It's not only a victory, but also in some ways a punishment for him, because now he's just kind of in this prison of his own making this time. So I think just as this also ties into Loki, the god, as this overall symbol of entropy, and the person who is the one that triggers all of these destruction and rebirth cycles, and just, this version of Loki is sowing chaos throughout the multiverse. But with this ascension to this, I think like Marvel calls him like the Loki god of stories, which is cool, just as he is like this full circle moment where he's not just like the god of lies and mischief anymore, but in a lot of ways what God Loki also symbolizes to me in doing this and being the one that binds the multiverse together and lets everyone live out their own stories, he is also the one who is giving us and encouraging us to use our free will. And then of course the epic symbolism of the scene at the end, where we see that these threads of the multiverse that he is both bound by and holding together are being intertwined and bound together with him at the core to form this overall greater image of Yggdrasil, the world tree of Norse mythology, which is what binds all of the 9 realms together. So I thought that image was very profound as a Norse pagan, and just really did a good job to me of tying God Loki and the Norse mythological symbols of those things in with the Marvel Universe timeline, and showing that this version of Yggdrasil, this world tree, is the multiverse itself, and now we have this God Loki at the core of it. So I personally can't wait to see a later Marvel movie come out and see the look on Thor's face when they try to go find the person who's like the new Kang, like the one at the end of the universe holding all this multiverse together. And of course, it's Loki. Damn it, Loki, I should have known it was you this whole time. So those were just a few fun and very meaningful and cool things that I noticed in this season of Loki that were very interesting and meaningful to me from a Norse pagan perspective, and particularly from a Lokean perspective, to see coming across on screen and just see those metaphorical images being used, and to see this ascension of Loki to his godhood in essence, and what that means both for us and for him, and just kind of see those cool parallels between myth and media. There you have it, folks. That about wraps up what I have to say on that. Check out my other Loki video if you want. I'm gonna have some more fun TV review and chat discussion type videos coming out soon, intermixed with the return to my normal, usually scheduled witchy content. So never fear, I'm still sticking to that as my primary form of content on this channel, but it's fun for me to just kind of take a break from that every now and then to avoid burnout or just overloading my brain with too much info at once. So it'll just be a little fun way to break things up and keep it light around here. So until next time, thanks for watching and stay classy, pagan.